Neighbor told me my husband, 31M, is having guests over when I'm, 27M, not home. I asked him and he got defensive. Should I drop the issue? We have been together for 5+ years. My husband has been working from home. I haven't had that luxury. That alone has been leading to tensions. Our neighbor, this weekend came over to me and told me that my husband is having a lot of guests over and that I should watch out. I should say that we have had an on and off hostile relationship. She also hasn't provided much and seemed to be ranting about out, so I'm unclear if she means I should watch out because of my husband or we should watch out. However, when I jokingly asked my husband about who he's having over because the neighbor has been talking, he vehemently denied it. So I'm basing my suspicious more on his overreaction to a simple question. I made a point of not sounding like I was being accusatory and asked about any food deliveries or online shopping. He denied that too. I did then ask, jokingly again, if he hasn't been cheating, only because I was caught off guard by his response. I am overthinking on a lot of things. He never picks up his phone over my lunch break, or does he respond to my messages? I admit I haven't been much in the mood for sex or even intimacy after a work day, but I am noticing that he is hardly initiating anymore. On top of this, he doesn't take his phone in the bedroom with him. I didn't even bat an eye at that, but now I am just thinking of how strange that is. I leave mine on the nightstand. He used to as well, but suddenly he just stopped. To sum it up, the fact that he got very defensive has made me look at certain behaviors from a new angle. However, I admit I have my own insecurities and things have been a little tense. I'm not sure if I should drop the issue entirely or confront him again. He's home all day. I'm not, so I'll be left fretting over this every day. There are tons of people who are just busybodies and can't leave enough alone. But, for your neighbor to say there is a lot of guests over and he denied it, didn't even make up a story, I'd probably not leave it alone. You are having red flags that you are not paying attention to. Stop collecting red flags. One is enough. Confront him. You need an answer. There are red flags, but prior to my neighbor mentioning it and me asking him, I didn't look at it in a suspicious way, so I rather keep an open mind. Someone just mentioned that since working from home they have been keeping their phone out of the bedroom because it's easier to not get sucked into work. Maybe you need to come home during lunch one day or leave work early. I don't have that luxury because of a long commute, but might install a door security camera instead. If he feels like he has to lie about it, then he is doing something wrong. Do not drop it. No, you should not drop it. Not unless you're okay with the possibility that he's cheating on you. You need to get some clarification from your neighbor. I would be asking for specifics, car make and model, etc., who she saw and how long they stayed. I have a neighbor who is constantly watching the area, and if anything even slightly seemed out of ordinary, she would report it to everyone. Do you have any reason to distrust her? She's exactly that type of neighbor. You could come home with a different supermarket bag and she'd ask you why. I don't know if distrust is the right word, but when we first moved in she was very hostile towards us and borderline homophobic, but it turns out she's a general nuisance in the entire neighborhood. I, 20F, found out that my boyfriend, 20M, of 1.5 years keeps a list of the times we have had sex. So yesterday I went over to my boyfriend's house and was using his computer for a school assignment. I normally bring my computer, but I had just gotten back from a friend's house, so I didn't have it with me. A little backstory: there had been a few times in the past I caught my BF going through my phone, Snapchat/browser history. I had never tried to hide anything from him and I don't have any reason to, so I was a little hurt that he didn't trust me. I asked him why he did this and his reasoning was that since I watched porn it made him insecure, so he thought I would also be talking to other guys. I told him this isn't at all true and that doesn't make sense. I said he watches porn too, so there is no reason to be upset. I had never gone through his phone in the past, but sometimes when I take his phone to look at something he snatches it out of my hands and does something, then says he is scared he didn't close the porn browser. So back to last night. I was curious and went to his browser history. You can search keywords, so I typed in girl. My boyfriend has been applying to schools because he is going to transfer next fall. I basically see he searched up UCLA's women's sports teams, not actual school. Then he went to the Instagram of the girls volleyball and girls girls swim team. I obviously brought this up and he asked why I was mad. I said I know you're not interested in women's volleyball, so why the fuck are you looking at it? To see the hot volleyball girls you would be going to school with next year. He gets all quiet and fucking hides behind his hands, smiling and nervous. He then goes and grabs his phone and shows me a list of about 5-6 states. He starts to say this is a list of the times we have had sex in the past month. I said why the fuck do you have a list, and immediately go to the bathroom and close the door. I started crying because I felt embarrassed and ashamed for some reason. When I came out I immediately grabbed my things and started to leave. He tried explaining and said his reasoning for this is that we haven't been having sex as much lately, so he wanted to keep track. He looked at the girls volleyball team because he has a problem and is so horny all of the time because we haven't been having sex as much as he wanted. We are both in college and finals are coming up. I have been busy with school so we haven't been hanging out as much. Plus he speaks to me so disrespectfully and I don't get turned on by that, so I don't want sex when he is mean to me, which is a lot. I left after that and he would not let me close my car door to leave. I just kept repeating to him this is over. He was sobbing and physically not letting me leave, so I told him he was scaring me and that I'd pepper spray him if he didn't back away. I went home and now it's the next morning and I still don't know what the fuck just happened. I don't know if I'm more upset about the list or the fact that he is looking at girls that go to his future school. I need advice. I know the obvious answer is to break up, but I can't bring myself to do it. I feel so weak and pathetic to keep going back to him. My sister tells me we have an unhealthy relationship, which I agree. But the times that we have fun together I feel so loved and special. We have been together for over 1.5 years and his friends have become mine. His friends are so great and I really don't have many friends outside of them. I love when we all hang out because it's truly some of the best times I have ever had. I know if we break up I probably won't see those friends anymore. My boyfriend also has a habit of speaking to me so badly and so disrespectfully. He ends up manipulating me to think it was justified or I do the same thing. Even his sister has noticed the way he speaks to me and told him to stop. I want to leave but I don't at the same time. Please help, I don't know what to do or what to think. Edit, added a word for clarity. Edit, I am on birth control and he knows this. The list isn't a pregnancy thing. Edit, thank you for taking the time to read the post and comment. You are so kind, it means more to me than you know. I do not talk to many people about my problems, which is another problem, so it feels good to know there's people out there that will listen and try to help. I'm reading all of your responses but I feel a little overwhelmed, which is why I am not going to respond to all of them. You have given me some good advice and I am going to keep coming back to this post to read the comments if I am doubting myself. I also hope these edits aren't messing up the formatting because I'm posting them from my phone now. Okay, so, first off, you've buried the lead a little bit. The fact that your boyfriend keeps track of when you have sex is not a red flag in and of itself, or, at least, I don't think so. Of course, I'm biased. I'm the one who charts the menstruation in my marriage, and that includes keeping track of instances of intercourse so that we can figure out what happened if something unintentional happens. Depending on who you are and what kind of experiences you've had, this might be something you start doing for safety. Long story short, I'm not concerned that he is keeping these records. What concerns me is that he's willing to use them against you in this way, especially when put against some of your other comments, with emphasis added. He speaks to me so disrespectfully and I don't get turned on by that, so I don't want sex when he is mean to me, which is a lot. He was sobbing and physically not letting me leave, so I told him he was scaring me and that I'd pepper spray him if he didn't back away. My boyfriend also has a habit of speaking to me so badly and so disrespectfully. He ends up manipulating me to think it was justified or I do the same thing. Even his sister has noticed the way he speaks to me and told him to stop. These are the red flags. These are the problem behaviors. These are the reasons you should break up with him, not because he is dissatisfied with the amount of sex and is using somewhat creepy methods of explaining it. That's the smallest, and frankly least important, part of your problems. And even if he were explaining himself cogently and politely, that wouldn't change anything. He's an abusive asshole, and that's the only reason you need to dump him. The longer you stay with this guy, the longer your mental health will deteriorate, whether you realize it or not. You're at a prime age to be meeting new people and making new friends. It's not as scary as you think. Don't let the moments he is kind and everything is going well make you forget the bad things they do. This is common in abusive relationships and something I've experienced myself. When things are good, they are often really good and you can think to yourself that maybe it wasn't that bad. No, it really was that bad, and the light glimpses don't cancel out the dark moments. Exactly. Every post on here where the partner is abusive has a quote like this in it: "They love me so much and everything is great except for when they are being a giant asshole and emotionally / verbally / physically / sexually abusing me." Your boyfriend went off the rails and tried to physically stop you from leaving. That's a definite time to break up. Additionally, he's emotionally abusive towards you and tries to make everything your fault when it isn't. Plus he plays the sympathy card and starts crying knowing you'll feel guilty, even though you shouldn't. Apologize to him and go back to him. Holy shit. I don't like saying break up with him because everyone on this subreddit says that, but clearly he has other intentions. He's controlling, and he's just straight up rude and manipulative. I'm a guy and I don't know any guys who do that. That's weird. Feel like when people come here, 4/5 times they know they need to end things, they just need the encouragement. This is one of those situations. I've found myself in a sexless marriage. I, 27F, have been married to my husband, 35M, for 6 years now. Our marriage is good. He's a kind husband and kind father to our kids. We had a good sex life until after our third was born 1.5 years ago. He was fine during the pregnancy, but after the baby was born he barely touched me. I keep trying to initiate, but I'm constantly rejected. He says he's just tired, but even after having time off and vacationing he's the same. Work hasn't changed much. A little slow with corona, but he was like this before the pandemic. One day he finally tried, but he wasn't able to finish. Since then nothing. Even though we have 3 kids I still try and look my best each day. I take care of myself and exercise when I can. I'm not an unattractive person, if it's okay to say that without sounding obnoxious. I just don't know what else to do. I want to be wanted again. Thank you for reading so far. Has he gone to a doctor? He hasn't, and he thinks he's fine. He's just tired, skeptical. I recommend a full body checkup. Not to scare you, but my husband's libido had completely dipped and he was still very attracted to me and didn't understand why he couldn't get in the mood. It turned out he had a tumor, and as soon as it was gone it was like we had just started dating all over again. His doctor said it was fairly common symptom of something being wrong health-wise with men. Full checkup and blood work if you can. Thanks a million. I'll talk to him about this for sure. He needs to get his testosterone checked. He might be going through andropause. Low energy is a symptom. If that is the case, there are testosterone therapies that will truly help. He also might be suffering from depression, that can definitely affect a libido. And as a man, he would rather suffer in silence than be open about it. If that is the case, the best thing you can do is be supportive and patient. He will open up about it when he is ready.